Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for another edition of the Dallas Independent School District's Minority Women Business Enterprise Hispanic Heritage Month Facebook Live series. Today's series, we will be honoring and talking with Wanda Granier with Bridge Work Partners. So Wanda is the CEO of Bridge Work Partners, and we're going to be talking with her here shortly. I wanted to go ahead and share some information, some additional information about Hispanic Heritage Month with all of you. So Hispanic Heritage Month spans from September the 15th until October the 15th. You can gain additional resources by visiting the Dallas ISD website, dallasisd.org, Hispanic Heritage Month, and also with HispanicHeritageMonth.gov if you want additional information about Hispanic Heritage Month. So we're going to go ahead and get started and talk with Wanda. Hi, Wanda. It's so great to have you join me today. How are you?
I am good, Stephanie. Thanks for having me. This is an exciting moment, and thank you to you and Annie Partey and the MWBE Business Enterprise Group at DISD for hosting.
Yes, absolutely. We're so excited to have you join us today, and I'm so excited to hear your story. And thank you so much for your willingness to share. And I just want to say, first off, congratulations to you on doing such an amazing job with Bridge Work Partners. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Bridge Work Partners later on. But first, let's talk a little bit more about you and your family. And let's start off with your parents. So your parents migrated here and from a few different places. Let's talk a little bit about that.
You bet. You bet. Well, thank you. So my mom was Maria is her name, Mary Dutchover, and she and her family were part of the Chihuahua area. So they were all from right in Chihuahua, which is right outside of Presidio. She was born in Presidio, and eventually they migrated to West Texas. My dad, his family was from Spain and Germany. So my great-great-grandfather migrated here from Germany, and there's a long, very, very fascinating story on how that came to be. But my grandmother was from Spain. So they eventually migrated to the West Texas area. And there was that magical moment in the 50s where my mother and father met each other in Pecos, Texas, fell in love. And next thing we know, they are Mary and David Dutchover join in a big Catholic wedding, having 6 kids, me being the 4th of the 6th, and us growing up in Pecos, Texas.
Okay, great. Well, we have here a picture of your parents. And so it looks like your father has on a uniform. Did he serve in the military?
He did serve in the military. There was a period in life that he did serve in the military, and after he exited the military, he went to school, and he was the one of only 4 children that actually ever was able to carry on and go get a degree and then his master's, but came from very, very humble beginnings and a patriot to the United States.
Well, that's awesome. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my, it's so amazing to see, the uniforms, like the historic uniforms and versus then and now, and even the pictures, right? The pictures are, beautiful pictures. Thank you so much for sharing. And so this is another picture of your parents. And with that and your upbringing, you being the 4th, you said, of 6, right?
Right, right.
So you had, your siblings and then your parents, and you talked a little bit about how your dad was a huge inspiration for you. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with your father and how he was a huge inspiration to you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I was, like you mentioned, I was one of 6 children, and my dad and mom, we had very, very humble beginnings. You can imagine what it looked like trying to raise 6 kids
Mhm.
In West Texas. And my mom did not she did not finish due to health reasons past 8th grade. So my dad was in the school district, which is a huge inspiration for me as well. He started off as a math teacher, and then he eventually became the first Hispanic principal in the West Texas area, became a dean of students, and then later on became the assistant superintendent of our school district. And he was the person that was up for the potential superintendent, but my mother got sick and had kidney failure, and it would later lead to a transplant and a lot of more illnesses. So he stepped down from that journey and decided just to take care of her. Well, along the journey, raising 6 kids and being the only main sole provider, he also got affiliated with a credit union in the West Texas area, and it became another means for us to make ends meet as a family.
Mhm.
And so it was a great experience, and this is where he became a huge motivator for me. He took a credit union that was very, very small, maybe had 100 or so members, and grew it to over, in the thousands of members over the course of time. My mom was able to help raise the family, but help him part-time. And I too was able to help him raise and be a part of this journey, because in a way it was an entrepreneur trying to raise a small credit union, make that a way to pay for the needs of the family. And so I became the janitor, I became the helper in marketing, I became
Mhm.
whatever it was he needed me to do. So I saw what it looked like to really start at ground zero and
Mhm.
build and take the customer service that was needed, the passion that was needed, the tenacity that was needed, and just how to take care of people. We lived in a very, very poor community, and there were a lot of minorities there. And I saw my father be very, very pro heart driven on how to help others, financially take a boost in life. So I saw him help lots of African Americans, lots of Hispanics take that jump. And so with that, I learned what hard work looked like. I learned what creativity looked like. And I leveraged my background, my passion, my love for him to start Bridgework Partners when that time became the right time. So there was a time in the journey that my dad developed cancer as well. And so that picture that you showed of us is really special to me, because we're in Houston and we are going through treatment with him at the time, many, many years ago. And so we were at the Space Center there and just enjoying the moment of the blessings of life. So that is how I got inspired to start the beginning at Bridgework Partners. At the time when Bridgework Partners started, my dad was still alive, so he got to hear all about the little things going on and how we were going to make this go. I got to brainstorm with him. It was very, very special. He has since then passed away as of 5 years ago, but continues to be a huge, huge inspiration in my heart and during this journey, and especially the honor of being able to work with DISD for as many years as we have, and it being the fact that I knew and I know that he was very pro the future and really felt like that what was done today was going to impact the children and the future generation. And I witnessed many times when we were at home where people would, knock or see him out in the streets and whatnot and say, David, Mr. Dutchover, had it not been for you, I'd be in jail right now. I would have never dreamed. I would have never finished school had you not been there to be my motivator. So he was a huge motivator for the community, and definitely, he was my hero. So a lot of Bridgework Partners that we pour in has a lot to do with him.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know how much your dad means to you. And I can tell how much of his work ethic was transferred over to you, and his passion was transferred over to you, especially the passion of helping others. And so thank you so much for sharing that story. And like I said, it's so exciting. You resemble him, I mean, a lot. I mean, it sounds like you were daddy's little girl, that's for sure. So you have a huge resemblance of your father. And so thank you so much for sharing that. And it's so amazing because it sounds like he was a first in a lot of things. And so how does that make you feel to know that your dad was a first in a lot of things and you were as well in certain areas?
Well, it makes me so proud of him because he was super humble. He was not a very, showy man. He was a quiet Christian man. He never he never missed the chance to go pray and go to church and serve our church as well and make us go to church whether we liked it or not. He also was a giving man. He ran the food bank there in the community. He did a lot. He donated a lot of hours, and also to impress that in our hearts as well, that be thankful for what you have, and some people don't have as much. So if we can all just share a little bit of our time, our treasure, whatever it may be, our heart, wouldn't the world be a better place? So he taught me that so much that just lives in my heart. If I could only be as good as him, but I feel like I have an angel. I have an angel above looking down on me. But so as far as the first for so many things, he was the first. And I just branched off to become an entrepreneur after going through corporate and seeing and learning and just pulling all the mentors together that I have had along the way, and then being able to launch Bridgework Partners. So I feel, I wish he were here to be with in this discussion with us
Mhm.
today. I think he'd shine some beautiful light. He's an inspiring man. But as far as the first, it'll always be in my heart that he did so much for the community, and that others, appreciated the impact that he left. And I hope
Yes.
if I can only be a little piece of what he was, then I might be okay in life.
Well, I can tell you for sure that his impact on you shows in everything that you do. And you talked about how he gave back. And I think about what Bridgework Partners does. You do a lot of giving back. You and your team do a lot of giving back. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that Bridgework Partners does to give back to the community? I mean, I know you guys have a whole host of things that you do, but if you could just share one or two things, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I guess one of the things we created a program called Bridgework Gives, and that was from the very beginning because I looked at it and our partners looked at it and thought, you know what, we're only to be here a short period on this earth. And so what can we do that's meaningful, even if it's a small effort of time or treasure? What can we do? And so I am happy to say that love and that spirit has spread throughout the organization. So we have many on the team that do have that warm giving heart. But one of the things that we've helped organizations with food banks, we work with P-TECH, where there is a beautiful school that we have helped adopt in South Dallas, Carter High School, that we're able to go and help the students learn how to coach them and dream about their future beyond the walls of high school. Another organization that we've been involved in is Sharon's a house, and Sharon's group has a faith-based organization that houses women that are addicted to some recovery program they're going through, that they are borderline homeless. And there is a couple of homes in South Dallas that open the doors for these women to give them a second chance. So there's been a lot of love and tears and great stories that have come about that. One of the things I love that I got involved in and didn't realize what a beautiful gift it would be back to me, from friendship buildings to just long-term relationships. And that's with the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber. When we were during our inception in 2008, when Bridgework Partners first became a company, I thought, well, the minute we can afford a few dollars to go join a chamber, let's go join the Hispanic Chamber, because, well, I'm Hispanic, so that makes sense. So it was a little bit of an innocent move on, that makes sense. We are going to get involved, so that makes sense. And so we did, and we've been members of the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber for about 12 plus years. And we have done a lot of volunteering, helped raise scholarship dollars for some of the students that are trying to open doors. We've gotten involved with helping train some of the North Texas businesses that are trying to launch. And along the journey of volunteerism in every committee you can think of, I also had the opportunity to get on the board of directors, and later became the chairman of the board for the chamber, and a past chair and a board member, and continue to just serve that organization as much as I can, because I feel like whatever I can do that can grow our community, that they can then grow others and grow others and grow others, and it can be an organic growth. So it's been a fantastic journey with the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber. They are also a testimonial of being an organization that wants to help grow others in the community. And so I feel a lot of their values align with what we are looking for. And so they're forever in my heart. Rick Ortiz, Diana Flores, Gabby Sagrario, many of them, Tony, they are forever in my heart. And we continue to be an advocate to help other Hispanic businesses and supporters and stakeholders grow within the community, so we can make this community the best that we can in Dallas.
Yes, and actually the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber is also a strategic partner of Dallas Independent School District's Minority Women Business Enterprise Department. So we definitely agree with everything that you just said about the chamber. And it's so great that you had all of those different transitions as you were part of the chamber. And like you said, hey, it only makes sense. I'm a Hispanic. It's a Hispanic group. So yes, I'm going to join it. But who knew of the positive and lifelong friendships and partnerships that you've developed over the years. So that's so amazing. So we talked about your parents. We talked about a little bit about bridge work. I want to get back to bridge work a little bit later, because I definitely want to go on a little bit more in depth about bridge work partners. But let's talk more about you. And so your different transitions. So you transition obviously from being number 4, 6 in your family. And then at some point you move on to have your own family. So let's talk a little bit about that journey of becoming a wife, and probably at that time a woman in the corporate arena, and then transitioning on to develop Bridgeworks.
You bet. You bet. Yeah, that I looked at that picture and I thought, wow, that takes me back so many years to the
Yes,
day.
yes.
I had to study the kids and just go, whoa, that's just, I had to have a moment of just looking at that picture. So thanks for sharing that, Stephanie. Yeah, so I have always had a go-getter spirit. Wherever I go, I want to pour the most I can, have the most impact, do the best very, very best I can. And when I was blessed with 2 kids, Danielle and Jonathan, years ago in the late 90s, I was in corporate America working, had a senior level role, and just building my career, and everything was great. And then all of a sudden the first child, Danielle, was born, and then later Jonathan. And so there was a point that I stepped off the career path, because I felt like, golly, I want to give the best to my kids, so I am going to stop working. So it was a little bit of a drastic move, because at the role I was in, that would just mean lots of changes in the family as far as how we're going to need to operate now. So I did step off the wagon, and I did start just raising the kids, and I stayed at home. So there were a number of years I stayed at home. However, that go-getter person in me couldn't do that entirely all the way. So I thought, how will I blend this? So I started working part-time at a little daycare that the kids would eventually go to, and that way I could be with them. And eventually my thought was, when they went to full-time school, that's the time I could start to safely get me a job, but then still keep my eyes close on them. And my husband at the time traveled quite a bit, so I felt like it was up to me to keep my close eyes on the kids. So I journeyed and followed them. And then once they went off to school, I decided it was time to get back into corporate America. And that was when I worked for a company that Fidelity Investments owns, and was there several years. And in about 2008, And before I had really in the 90s when Danielle was born, I really had wanted to have my own company because I thought if I could do my own thing, I could be a go-getter, I could give people the customer service I feel like they deserve. I could, and all things were going on. I have enough experience in the talent acquisition, HR, human resources area, but I really don't. So I'm not ready to do it. So I went and became, the mom, raised the kids and everything. And then when I was at Fidelity and stayed there several years, in 2008, it just hit me. It was a time to do it. So I went and announced my resignation. They were a little shocked that I was going to I was going to leave, but I did because I felt like that was the time to pull the trigger and start Bridgework Partners. And I laugh about it because during 2008 was a very terrible financial time, that would be the year that we would decide. But anyway, one of my business partners and I, in September 24th of 2008, launched Bridgework Partners. It was during Hispanic Heritage Month, and that was meaningful as well to me because that's a time to really reflect and treasure where you come from, where your ancestry is. And so it had a lot of heartfelt meaning as well to me. And so that journey of being able to raise the kids, be a mom, watch the kids really ended up being good because at some point, little did I know that one of my children, Danielle, would suffer from some illnesses that would become very, very difficult to treat, help, and everything. And so I sometimes look back and think that one of the reasons that Bridgework Partners became that bridge of hope was for my own hope and for the family, and to help be a bridge for somebody like Danielle who does suffer from some mental illness. And my heart goes out to those, especially because this month in October is Mental Health Awareness Month, and in October the 10th. So it gives my heart a huge, just tenderness inside it around that. But those were some of the reasons why the inspiration continued on. At the time my dad was still alive, he thought it was the greatest idea. He would have fun just chatting about, dreaming and talking and everything, and until he no longer could. So that became us in the beginning of Bridgework Partners back in 2008.
Man, that is an incredible story. And, a lot of times as women, we have to juggle so many different things. And then when you have to put yourself in a position to make a decision to basically, hey, I'm going to start my own business in spite of all of these other responsibilities that I have to do. So I just want to take my hat off to you to say congratulations to you, because we work with business owners all the time, and we understand that it's not easy to make those types of decisions because you're dealing with an unknown territory. You don't know if it's going to work, if it is going to work, if it's not going to work, is it going to be successful? So kudos to you, because you're getting ready to celebrate your 15th year in business. So that is amazing. And like I said, you have an amazing team as well. And I know that, being a business owner and having an amazing team means the world as it relates to the growth of your business, the success of your business. I've met several of your team members, and I kind of laugh because it kind of makes me think about, Chick-fil-A. It's like everybody is so chipper and happy, and, you're like, man, did Bridgework Partners team get the same training that Chick-fil-A team received? Because everybody is so happy and so willing to help. And it seems like everybody just, does what they need to do to support you, to support Bridgework Partners. And you talked about the fact that Bridgework Partners was founded during Hispanic Heritage Month almost 15 years ago. So talk a little bit more in detail about Bridgework Partners and what you guys do.
You bet. Thank you, Stephanie. So Bridgework Partners, the name Bridgework Partners was, coined together to, the word partners means it's us, it's we, it's not me, it's all of us, from Angela to Sam to Emily to Belinda to Michaela to Jennifer to Samantha to Paul to Noah to Arhelio to Lizette, to all of us on the team, Shannon, Jenny, everybody on the team, Nubia, Rebecca. It takes all of us in partnership to be the best we can. Our mission is to take care of our clients one partnership at a time. And every time we interact, I tell the team, you're my partner at work, I'm your partner, Lizette's our partner. And so treat each other the way you would want to be treated. And if we can get that straight inside the company, then we can branch out and really make our mission come alive. And that way, when we interact with others through our give back program, through supporting a client that needs to call us for some support, then we can do it with that same kind of passion. So Bridgework Partners, we feel like we are the bridge of hope. And there's so many thousands of stories that and little ones and big ones where we've been able to help them in their transition, help them when they're lost, help them when they lost their job or something tragic has happened, and really be that bridge of hope. So I see our company as that bridge of hope. So we are a talent acquisition and HR consulting firm. And we have really 5 pillars that hold the company up. And the first one is Bridgework SLED. And that is our focus on state, local, and education. We are very passionate about supporting local government, and educational support is just a passion for us in the talent acquisition space. So the next pillar for us is Bridgework Staff. And Bridgework Staff is staff augmentation, where the client may call us for help, whether it be a project, a temporary to hire, a long-term assignment, and they call us and we put the employees on our payroll and we support them in clerical needs, in potentially accounting, finance, IT, but no matter what, they are put on our payroll and we help take care of them during that journey. And the next one is Bridgework HR. Bridgework HR is our HR consulting side of our business. We do statement of work for different clients. We wanted to view ourselves as not just go find you somebody and put them out there. It's get into the reason of why, what's the challenge, what's keeping you up at night, where do you see yourself 5 years, 10 years from now, a year from now? How are we navigating through a crisis? What are the roadblocks? And then leverage HR consultants that have been doing this for 10, 30 plus years to come in and help our clients, and also help our team when needed, so that when we're doing the recruiting side, then the consulting side can come alive as well. So inside that, we may do, statement of work around increasing productivity for employees, meeting facilitations, leadership, training, development. So that's our next pillar. Our next pillar is Bridgework Tech. So when we actually first launched, the very first positions we were filling were technology type of positions. So it's corporate, cable techs, it could be database administrators, it could be infrastructure type of roles. So it is positions that have to do with technical nature. And so the last pillar for us is Bridgework Search. And so sometimes clients want us to come in and they want us to do what we call an RPO, which is recruitment process outsourcing, which would be they want to carve out a certain amount of their needs from a direct hire standpoint and have us go in and do either a proof of concept or a straight out RPO, and they will carve out this function. We are almost part of HR. And sometimes it's a seamless organization. You don't even know it's us, but we're actually helping them become an engine so that they can fill more positions, or it's one-off positions. And there are executive searches that we do as well. We will place CIOs, chief marketing officers, senior level people in HR. So it's educational, vice provost. It'll be roles along that line, as well as managerial type of direct hires as well. So together we feel like we cover the corners of what it takes to hold the pillar up, and just embracing our vision and our mission of taking care of our clients one customer at a time, and then leveraging, putting inside the soup our core values of make a difference in the community through our give back program, build a culture that's fun. Maybe that's hopefully the giggles you see, because we do work hard, but we do turn around and play. Like Monday, we just had a Hispanic heritage moment for our team, and we had a big luncheon, and everybody went around and talked about where they came from, what was their heritage, and whether you were Hispanic, Latino, of descent. Everybody was just very intrigued by what this all meant. So culture is huge to us, and of course customer, like always, because it starts with, that's our North Star, how to make that customer a partner for hopefully many years to come.
Yes, and that is amazing. So you said that you guys, when you guys first started, you were dealing primarily with technology, like providing technology. So what type of employees do you provide now?
Yeah, so it's still technology,
Mhm.
and it's still so technology, and then it branched into human resources, marketing, some people in finance. We do some manufacturing types of roles as well. So
Okay.
a lot of corporate type of support roles is what we do, and technology is in their HR, marketing, supplier diversity, procurement. So data entry, customer service, roles that are inside a corporation that'll help make the operation go.
Okay. Now, what about other small businesses? Because sometimes we get calls from small businesses who need help with temporary employment. So do you work with small businesses?
We do. We work with small to companies that have, 15, 20,000 employees. So we could be, and this makes me think of one of my very sweetheart African-American, one of my best friends that she and I met through the DFW Minority Supplier Development Council, and we have been great partners. I have helped, consult, train. We've had cocktails together. We've filled some positions together for her,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so she's a small business. We have one person at her client site, and we've helped her for years, and many years. And she's going to be a lifelong friend of mine, no matter where she goes in her
Mhm.
journey. So yes, we can help a client as small as they need one employee, all the way to hundreds of employees at a client site.
Right. And Wanda, you didn't mention that you were an award-winning company. And so I just wanted to share with everyone the various awards that your company has received, and you've also received a numerous scholarships and different things like that. It's so many. I don't have time to read them all, but I definitely did want to highlight this to let everybody know all of the wonderful work that you and your team are doing there. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about, you mentioned the Dallas Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council, and we're actually going to have Edwin Cruz on tomorrow.
Oh,
And
good.
so, yeah, so we're going to be talking with him tomorrow. But I want to kind of go back a little bit, since you mentioned the DFW MSDC, as it relates to being a certified minority-owned business. What made you decide to take the leap to become certified?
Well, that's a very good question. So before Bridgeward Partners launched, I mean, I was thinking about this company back in the 90s before Danielle was born. And it was already brewing in me, but I just knew I wasn't ready. But as time went and the years went, I looked up, how would we do this plan? What would the plan look like? I just kept up with different things. And I, somewhere in my journey, heard about Margot Posey, the famous Margot Posey, DFW Minority Supplier Development Council. And I knew that as I looked up some of the good work that she had done, and some of the work that they'd done in connecting resources and being an advocate for you, I felt as though that would be the strategic thing to do. So DFW Minority Supplier Development Council was the very first certification that we ever went to, because I just felt she had been there a number of years. Her reputation was strong in the business community and diverse community. And my hunch proved to be very correct. And we've done a lot of volunteer work with Margot and her team as well. And I look forward to celebrating the 50th year anniversary next year for the DFW Minority Supplier Development Council. So really it became a kind of a strategic decision that, okay, we're minority owned. I think we're going to need some support in order to help have places that will be a voice for us and provide us with some thought leadership and guidance as well. And Margot Posey has done everything and then some on that part. And we're fortunate that when we just been a member of the organization for about a year, and we became supplier of the year at that time, and then moved on to the regional national supplier recognition at the regional level. So I just felt like it was the strategic thing to do. And I went and sought her out. Probably we weren't even a year old, and we were already starting to try to fill out that very thick, criteria that you have to go through in order to get certified and prove that you are really run by a minority and whatnot. And so we've been a member of the organization since I believe 2009 or 2010. So it goes back to the beginning. We did not wait around. And I encourage others that are opening their company, do not wait around, because the Women's Council, which we're also a member of, the DFW Minority Supplier Development Council, NCTRCA, Hub, some of these places can really be beautiful gems for you to go and reach to. They're filled with a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And I have a lot of respect for Margot Posey and highly recommend that organization to anyone that is seeking how to open that door and become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, that's great, because a lot of small businesses, they are, some of them are a little intimidated by the certification process and really unsure if it's going to be beneficial to them or their business. And it sounds like your journey has been very positive as it relates to the certifications that you've obtained. And it sounds like you have multiple certifications, so that's also great. And so what advice would you have for a business owner, in addition to not waiting to get certified, but what advice would you have for a small business to become certified?
I think that if you're, for instance, in the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we offer mentorship around how to become certified, because we don't certify, but we work closely with the DFW Minority Supplier Development Council. And so if you're intimidated by the process, come to the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber, become a member there, and let us help you get your certification. Margot will open the doors. She has lots of also events that are certification events. They could teach you and show you what to do. The other thing is, if you go in and you become a member of that organization or the chamber, you can just ask. So many would be willing to give that new entrepreneur advice and some guidance. And so I tell that person that's trying to open the doors that not to be shy. Go look at the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber and look at some of the members, and their contact name is in there. Call the chamber and go get involved and ask somebody to help guide you, because it can be very intimidating on filling out that form. I used to go, oh my gosh, this is about 2 inches thick. How am I ever going to do this? Some way, somehow I'm going to do it. So, and sometimes you just need somebody to encourage you. And a lot of times when you're starting a business, it may be you and yourself, or you and another partner, or you almost feel like the blind leading the blind a bit. And some of these organizations have been so established. And, the chamber, the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber, has been around for over 80 years. We're the second oldest Hispanic chamber in the nation. So, so go and reach to these organizations for help. We want to see small businesses grow, that small businesses collectively produce more jobs than any other organization. So if they all pulled together, you would see the power. So go and help another, go and help another MBE, another WBE that is trying to be there for the better good of them, their family, the product service that they're going to offer.
Awesome. Well, that's some great advice. And I want to now talk about your work with Dallas Independent School District. It looks like you were probably in business about 6 or 7 years when you started doing business with Dallas ISD. And so talk a little bit about your journey and your decision actually to do business with a public entity.
That's a fantastic question. Well, first of all, my dad came from the independent school district, so I already innately had it in my heart that I could add value. I wanted to be a part of this. It would just, so I was already personally inspired, as that would be, a very passionate industry to be connecting with in the educational space. And so we were members of the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber. And I believe Tommy Lyle at the time, love Tommy Lyle so much. And I know that she's a very dear hearted individual to the MBE enterprise department that Annie Partey and all of you are part of. But she was super active with the DFW, with the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I met her at some point, and she did what I guess all of you powerhouse women and men do at the Dallas ISD department. And she did come and inspire us and ease the fear of the entry point into Dallas ISD. And so one thing led to the other, and see when bids were coming out, and we saw one that was involved in the recruiting space. And so Tommy just encouraged us and to come in and just bid on it. And so we thought, well, what do we have to lose? We'll try. I mean, no one knows us at Dallas ISD, but let's try. I mean, later on we became, known, have gotten a chance to know a lot of people, but many years ago was the beginning. So we took a chance. We put together our first bid, and we were just fortunate that we were selected. But what happens in a selection process is then you have to go and, try to figure out how to promote yourself, how to go and get others to know you. And just little by little, we've just gotten to know, and thankful to so many departments that have just given us a chance to help partner with them and whatnot. And so then it fast forwarded into the last bid that we bid on, which I'll never forget because it was 2020, and I had to walk in with my mask and, just be sprayed down, and, just such a tender time that was so fearful and traumatic for all of us in this community, for our students, for the world, really. And that was when I was going and dropping off the next bid. So really the very beginning started with the connection through the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Tommy Lyle. Then later I was able to meet Annie Partey, which she's amazing and so inspiring, and absolutely someone that I look up to and think so highly of her, probably beyond what she thinks, because she runs a beautiful organization. And I could see where the minority group, the MWBE enterprise department, was able to continue to just be there and foster. And when I was at the chamber, I had the privilege of being able to sit in, and after, even as a business owner, sit in on the MWBE committee and minority committee. And that was also an educational moment for me as well. And so it's just continued to grow. And our team, just on behalf of everybody at Bridger Partners, just thank you to the beautiful, amazing team at DISD, from the superintendent down. Thank you to all of y'all for giving us the privilege of taking care of you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I mean, you mentioned so much in that statement, and I just want to briefly kind of recap some of the things that you talked about. So you mentioned Tommy Lau, who is retired. She used to be a member of the Dallas ISD Minority Women Business Enterprise Department. She was also an MWBE coordinator, and she is another amazing Latina woman who does a lot of work in the community and helps support small businesses, MWBE. So definitely want to give out a shout out to Tommy. And also you mentioned the Dallas ISD MWBE Advisory Committee, which you used to be a part of. So thank you so much for mentioning that. And that is also an advisory committee that, we still have. And we want to thank you so much for serving on that and being part of that, and being part of the change that we try to do as a department as we help minority owned and women owned businesses like yours, and continue to help you grow and recruit, like Tommy recruited you, essentially recruited you to do business with Dallas ISD. So that's a big part of what our team does. And like you said, we have an amazing leadership. Annie is a great leader, and we have an amazing team. And we definitely do our part as it relates to recruiting minority owned and women owned businesses. And we will continue to do that. So thank you so much, Wanda, for everything that you've shared with us today. I can't thank you enough. And I have been looking forward to this moment to be able to speak with you about this. So before we leave, before we conclude today, do you have any advice that you would like to share to business owners, or anything else that you would like to share about the Hispanic culture, or anything about today's session?
Yeah, I think that the Hispanic, I think it's wonderful that these several weeks are a tribute to the Hispanic culture. There's so many places that make the Hispanic culture rich, from Mexico to Puerto Rico, Argentina, Ecuador, there's Spain, there's so much about the Latino community, and the Mexican culture, which is where I come from, in the Spanish and partly the German descendant, but have some Portuguese in me as well. And so I think it's just so beautiful that we can all come together and celebrate this moment. And all of us, from whether you are of Latino descent, Hispanic descent, or you're a supporter of it, I just think that diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging are so important for our today and for our tomorrow, in order for our society, for Dallas ISD, for North Texas, for DFW and the area, to be the best and the strongest that we can be. And I just encourage everyone to embrace these special moments as we celebrate cultures throughout the season, and really just take them to heart and think deep. What does this mean? It means that it's another chance for us all to come together as humans and to love each other, help each other, grow each other, inspire each other, and get through the good and the bad times. And so leverage people, leverage relationships, leverage your culture, leverage those that are outside your culture, that are cheering on your culture. And I believe that we'll be a better place, a better society. And as it pertains to DISD, with that mindset, with that inspiration coming all of us together, we'll have a better, more motivating mindset to serve the students that we're really trying to build up, that are going to be our future. Because, as hopefully I'll get to be with Bridger Partners for more decades, but someday there's a future behind me. And I would be just so excited to see more unity from the future, the students that are coming, that are going to be future leaders. And the more we can pour in and they can see us as role models, the more that they're going to be watching. Because I think kids listen verbally and they listen non-verbally to what adults are doing and saying. And so I think it's just wonderful that you all are really putting a centerpiece around the Hispanic Heritage Month. And I look forward to the other cultures that we'll celebrate. And I just greatly appreciate the partnership with DISD and the privilege to be with you today, Stephanie. You are inspiring, and I always just enjoy all of our talks together and look forward to more.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Wanda, so much for your time today. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And we will continue to support you in your journey with Bridgework Partners. And just let us, just know, as you do know, that we are here for you. We're here to support you as you progress and grow your business. So again, I would like to thank you so much for sharing with us everything about you and Bridgework Partners. And we're just so excited to hear about that. So thank you so much. And
Thank
also, yes, and also I want to let everybody know that up next, actually this afternoon, is Alvaro Mesa, who is a Dallas ISD employee. He is part of the construction services department. He is the bond safety manager. So please return at 1:30 to listen to Al's story. And again, Wanda, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us today. It's been such a pleasure to have you here and to hear your story and to have you in this conversation. So thank you so much. And I can't wait for us to do this again. So just stay
thank
tuned,
you.
everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.